All right, well, Russia is causing problems not only in the Middle East, as we just heard, it's also creating trouble for Christians at home. Evangelicals believe a fresh wave of persecution will accompany a new law that forbids sharing their faith in public. Russian authorities call it an anti-terrorism measure, but as Heather Sells reports, it directly targets Protestants.
Christians in Russia can no longer freely share their faith in public, at home, or on social media. They must also obtain official approval before inviting people to church. Breaking any of these new rules can lead to fines and even prison.
Everybody's stunned. I mean, it came so quickly, unexpectedly. Nobody expected that.
Sergei Rakuba heads Mission Eurasia, which equips church leaders in Russia and across Central Asia. He says this controversial move brings back memories of laws passed by Soviet dictators Nikita Khrushchev and Joseph Stalin.
They're trying to push the evangelical church back behind the walls again, as the Soviets did.
For Christians, this means no informal Bible studies, dinners, or sharing of faith. House churches, estimated at 1,000 alone in Moscow, are outlawed. Preaching and praying can only happen at state-approved sites.
Religious freedom isn't just me going into the closet by myself to pray. Religious freedom is raising my family in the faith. It's meeting with friends or other adherents. It has property rights issues because we want to have a place to go. It has to do with freedom of speech.
Political scientist Eric Patterson says the new law aims to keep out any form of dissent in Russian society and confines religious activity strictly to the state-sanctioned Orthodox Church.
It's really designed to put evangelicals and other people of faith outside the Russian church into a very, very small box.
But Patterson maintains the U.S. can pressure Russia to repeal the law. The U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom has already condemned it. And a State Department spokesperson told CBN News, "We have raised our concerns about this law with the government of Russia." While no public statements have been made, the Secretary of State can approve the use of sanctions.
And it seems as if the U.S. really said this is very, very important and explain the rationale why and use these levers that we already have, that this would be one of those areas where we could find some sort of accommodation with Russia.
No one knows how far Russian authorities will go in implementing this law. In the meantime, Russian believers are prepared to stand up for their faith while possibly facing the same persecution endured by their forefathers.
We get lots of messages from these young leaders, and so they say, we're not going to obey this law. So this law that prohibits us from the most essential thing that the believer has to do, so that sharing the gospel.